All right. Hello and welcome to Design Technology Safety Training. We're going to start out by just talking about the basic rules of the design and tech room here. We're going to go through all of that. Then you'll have an opportunity to try things as well as go and look at it again. So this is just the basic introduction. It's okay if you don't understand every little tiny bit because we're going to go over it all again once we are in the tech room and have these machines in front of us. So you have to know before you enter the tech room, there's a couple things you need to understand. And that's not the tech room itself, it's the side with all the machines on it. There's the big glass wall, and then in between that, this is what we mean, entering the sides with all the machines, and not the classroom area. When you go in, you have to be wearing safety glasses at all times. Regardless if you're just going in just to sand something or not use a machine, doesn't matter. If you're in that room, you are wearing safety glasses. That's to protect you from other little bits of wood or other thing that might be flailing all over the place, or the piece might chip off. You have to be ready for that. It might not be a result of you, but it could be someone else. So we always want to be safe with that. Even if you have glasses, they go over. They will be big enough to fit over that. So safety glasses go on when you go in. You also need to tie up your hair. If you can tie up your hair, guys or girls, then it gets tied up. The key is we don't want it to hang down in front of us and get pulled into a machine. So no matter, if your hair is long enough to slide in front of your face, you tie it up however you want. You do a ponytail, pigtails, right on top, out the side, whatever you want to do. You can do the bun at the top, as long as it stays out of your face and out of the way of machines grabbing it. We also don't want anything else to pull you in or be grabbed. So dangling bracelets, necklaces, hoodie strings. The hoodies themselves aren't really an issue. It's the strings that are the problem that kind of come down. So either you take your hoodie off or you tuck those in. If you're taking your hoodie, you want to take your hoodie off and you don't have an appropriate shirt underneath, just let me know. I'll let you go get your gym shirt to change into at the beginning of class. Same thing as washroom and drink. I'll let you go right then to do that. If you have a watch or a ring, that's fine because it doesn't really dangle and won't really get caught. But if you have, a dangling bracelet, necklaces, big hoop earrings, dangly earrings, those come off, please. Okay. Also for your hair, I highly recommend that you bring your own hair elastic. I'll have regular elastics there for you, but those aren't really great. They kind of get tangled in your hair. So if you can keep a scrunchy, hair elastic, banana clip, that'll be great. Somewhere on you while we're in the tech room, that'll be awesome. Let's look at the first machine. The first one we're going to have a peek at is the scroll saw. This is your primary cutting tool that you're going to use. The scroll saw has a blade that acts just like a saw, and it goes up and down. So it's kind of like sawing, just like a regular saw does, but much faster. A lot of the rules for this too are also common sense. Like keep your hands beside the blade, not in front of the blade. Don't push into the blade. That's no good. You want use a safety stick if you're cutting small pieces. So if you have to cut a little tiny end off there, you want to use a safety stick. And you'll be able to see the safety stick hanging off the front of the machine there. It's just a stick that you can push that it'll get close to the blade. If it gets close to the blade, that's not a problem. If it gets nicked, that's okay. You should try to avoid it, but better the stick getting nicked than not your fingers. You are going to be doing 2 cuts from me directly under my supervision. You're going to do a regular cut as well as a safety cut. Okay? And I'll show you how to do that. I'll show you how to grip everything. I'll show you the best hand positions to use. You want to hold your wood down to help stop vibration at all times. This is one of those common errors in the tech room. The blade goes up and down very quickly. If you're ripping and chewing through your wood, the wood doesn't really want that to happen. It wants to go up and down with the blade. So you need to hold it down in place. If you don't, it'll jitter against the metal plate underneath. It'll make a very loud sound, make it go and jump and pee your pants a little bit, but then you're fine. Okay, it's not a big deal. If anything happens that sounds strange, feels odd, or you lose control of your wood, simply step back, turn off the machine, and get control. Don't try to get control of a piece of wood that's jittering all over the place. You want to push your wood through at a slow, even pace. The thicker the wood, the slower you want to go. We're using some pretty small jinks wood here, so it cuts quite easily. But remember, the blade is ripping and chewing through the wood. This isn't a laser beam that just is kind of disintegrating it there. It is actually chewing through it, so you have to give it time to do that. Otherwise, you'll bend the blade as you push it through. Do not adjust the hold down guard while the blade is moving, and you can see the hold down guards a little bit there in the pictures. I'll show them more closely to you when we get a chance. Basically, your finger should never be near the blade when it's moving. You shouldn't be near that. You need to get a little piece of wood out of there, turn your machine off, then get your piece of wood out. Don't put your fingers near a moving sharp blade. And you can cut curves, but not right angles. materials. That's not a big deal for your trusses or your easels. But if you have a bonus project where you're cutting out your initials and you cut a curve, you can do that on this machine. Not all saws will allow you to do that. Right? So that's the scroll saw. Let's have a look at the belt and disc sander. This is the most misused machine in the tech room. You are not to sand anything else on this but your project. You're not to sit and sharpen your pencil. You're not to sand a block of wood through there, if it just so it disappears. If you do that, you will be banned immediately. Other experiments we've done, you may have knocked over a beaker or dropped a test tube. Those are mistakes. No one accidentally, oops, I sharpened my pencil. No one makes those mistakes. That is intentional. If you're intentionally defying the rules, you are a danger to yourself and other people in that room, and you need to be removed. So first off, you want to hold the wood with two hands. You want to be in control at all times. You want to keep the wood flat on the table. You'll see it has a big belt there on the front, and it's pushing down at very, very quick speed. If you hold it up off the plate, then it might pull out of your hands. Okay? Bounce off the plate, hit yourself, go flying, whatnot. Okay? You also want to keep material on the left side of the disc. Take a look at the bigger picture there. You can clearly see the belt, but on the right-hand side, you see a little flat plate, a little circular part there. A little red part is colored in the back. That's the disc sander. In the smaller picture, you can see the disc sander front on, with the plate there and the red on the one side. You want to keep the material out of that right side. Again, when we're in the tech room, I'll show you up close. Because the disc spins counterclockwise. If you're out of the red area, the disc is coming down, pushing your wood into the plate. It's coming this way. If you're on the red area, it's coming this way. It'll lift your wood up. That's no good. Okay? Do not press the material too hard or hold it in one spot. Too much friction, too much force in there. It'll fatigue the belt. It could cause the belt to snap, and also you could potentially burn your wood a little bit there. You're not going to create a flame, but it'll become blackened, and it won't smell the best. If you have to use a safety stick, it is too small to sand. That's not a hard rule in the sense that you can never use a safety stick. But if your fingers are getting so close, that fast spinning, super rough belt, you're like, oh, I should use a safety stick. That's a good idea. Then think again, should I just use hand sandpaper on this? So there's nothing you can't use one, but just double check. Maybe hand sandpaper might be the safest way to do it. And don't sand off large areas. You got to take a big chunk of your stick off, cut it. Don't sand down to it. Okay, cut it and sand to perfection. That's the belt and disc sander. This is the one that will most commonly get you kicked out of the tech room if you are misusing it and abusing it. Let's look at the drill press. This is the one with the biggest lines. Cutting using the the scroll saw, sanding using the belt and disc sander is a very quick process. This, you really have to line up the drill press, make sure it's right on there, come down, make sure it's perfect. There's a little more setup. So if you're in line to use the drill press, make sure you are ready to go and you know exactly what you're doing. You want to turn the machine on with your left hand. Okay? So if you look at the machine, you have your green and red button, you're on and you're off on the left-hand side. You want to operate the feed wheel with your right hand. So you turn it on, you operate the feed wheel. You don't want to cross over. Okay? If you cross over, that spinning thing could zing the side of your hand. Lots of people screw up this rule. Lots of people cross over. No one's ever hurt themselves doing this, but still, you want to keep your hands separate there for. Don't cross over. That's the thing I yell at people most for. You want to drill slowly into the material. You can't just stab it. You have to give time for the drill to rip and chew through it. Do not touch the bit as it gets hot. The bit is the spiral part that actually makes the hole, and it gets very warm because of friction rubbing up against that wood there. And do not let go of the feed wheel until it is returned all the way up. It's spring-loaded, so if you let go, it'll slam up into the top. Okay? It's not the end of the world, but you should kind of bring it in for a softer landing. That being said, it's not fine china. You don't want to slow, careful. You're not docking with the space station. It is spring-loaded for safety. So if you were to bring it down, or were to, say, nick your hand or something, you go, you let go of the feed wheel, that spinning bit will retract, which is generally a good thing. And finally, you want to back out and allow the drill to cool on top. That's only for bonus projects, and that rarely occurs to drill super deep holes and things like that. Right? That's the drill press. And finally, we have the bandsaw. You are not actually going to be trained on the bandsaw. This thing is like fishing with dynamite. It is so overpowered and strong for what you need to do. You're not going to. You're not going to be trained on it. If for a bonus project you feel you need to use the bandsaw, then you can come and talk to me, and we'll look at it. And if I agree that the best way to go about this is to use the bandsaw, then I will specifically train you. You are not to touch this machine unless you have been specifically trained by me. A lot of people worry, oh, I'm going to cut my finger off on the scroll saw. Oh no! If you cut your finger off on the scroll saw, I will be impressed because you'd have to take your finger and go to push it through the scroll saw. It's very difficult to do. It'd be a lot of effort. So if you can cut your finger off with the scroll saw, I'll be impressed. The bandsaw, on the other hand, is not the same. It's very powerful. It's called a band saw because the blade is in a band. See how it's kind of circular or curved at the top and curved at the bottom? In the top and bottom, there's a wheel on each side, and the motor spins that wheel. The saw is a band that flies around the whole thing very quickly. You just push your wood through that, and it just flows through like a hot knife through butter. It'll just separate very easily. And also, too, you push that through and you get your thumb in there, it'll separate very easily as well. The thing is, though, the rules between the bandsaw and the scroll saw are almost identical. It's a lot of the same common sense things. It's just it's just a more powerful machine. The rules of the road and the rules of driving a car don't change if you drive a two-door hatchback or if you drive a Ferrari. Just the machine is more powerful. So if you need this, I will train you on it. That's only for a bonus project. But I still want you to write this in your books just to make sure that we have it. Okay? So those are the basics, ladies and gentlemen. If you do have any questions, I will take them next time that I see you. And the key thing here is that everyone sometimes gets very apprehensive about using these tools and using this machinery. What you really have to understand is if you follow the rules, you will be safe, you will be fine. It's exactly like driving. If you drive a car and you are irresponsible, and you don't obey any of the rules, you're probably going to hurt yourself or other people. That's why I ban so quickly. If you show me that I can trust you, and you actively defy the rules, it is unsafe for you to be in there, okay? For yourself and other people. If you follow the rules, then you shouldn't have too much of a problem. Every single injury that has occurred, and they've all been minor. The maximum injury that we have had is just to get a little band-aid on, right? It's just because people were not following the rules. Not willfully, breaking the rules, but forgetting. Oh, that blade is moving. I got my finger too close. I was sanding and I brought my hammer out. I just kind of nicked my knuckle a little bit. No one has ever been seriously injured. And I think that's because I banned anyone who's going to cause them serious injuries before they've had a chance to make a point. Okay? Don't be apprehensive of machines. Almost every single person who I've trained who is very anxious after doing the first cut was like, oh, that's it? That's not a big deal. You're right, it isn't. Just think of some of these machines like super scissors. No one's afraid of using scissors. I'm sure you'll do just fine. All right? So that is our basics of safety training for our design and tech room. The next step would be to go for a tour where we'll look at all the machines. I will turn them all on for you. You can have a peek at them. And then you will train on each of those machines one-on-one with me. Every single student in the school will see, I will see them perform each task. And I will correct them as they need be, and they'll attempt it as many times as they need to be successful. All right, so this is the last phase before we go into building, and we finish up our safety training.